Hello, my friends. My name is Gerdes. Today is Saturday, May 25th, 2024. This is a daily brief. So today we just crossed a meaningful threshold. According to the Ukrainian military, 500,000 Russian personnel losses since the beginning of the full-scale invasion. That is astronomical. It's mind-blowing to think that that's where we are right now. Now, do I think it's actually 500,000 exactly? No, actually, according to here, it'd be 500,080. But again, this is an estimate. They might have shot someone, thought that it accounted for that, and that person recovered and is back into the battle. Okay. Or maybe they didn't account for someone somewhere. But I think it's a pretty reasonable ballpark kind of figure of what has happened. Now, you can see what's happening daily with the ebbs and flows because you'll have 1,140 personnel off the battlefield today, 15 tanks, 11 armored combat vehicles, 27 artillery, 39 vehicles and fuel tanks. And then you couple that with other things, you triangulate on the facts, right? Like Andrew Perpetua's. These are the losses, the Russian losses that he could identify. These are the Ukrainian losses. Today, this over last 24 hours, this was a good day. About 3, maybe 4 to 1 Russian to Ukrainian losses, and that's what you really are hoping to see. I'll talk more about Andrew Perpetua near the end and all the work that he does put going into this. It's mind-numbing, even to me, how much work he puts in. Ukraine war briefing, Zelensky says Kyiv's forces have taken control of the Kharkiv border area. Okay, so it's been brutal. It's been back and forth. I'm not sure that I would say it's controlled from everything that I understand, but it is at least not out of control at this point from my reading of what's going on. Yesterday, I talked about glide bombs, and I talked about the mechanisms that we have that we launch from the ground, and the Russians can intercept and kind of send it off course. Glide bombs are a little different. They're dumb munition that has wings that can kind of be guided in, and, well, apparently the Ukrainians are doing this too. And this just popped up. It wasn't like I was just searching and searching and searching. This popped up today after I was talking about it yesterday. So it's now confirmed that Ukrainian Air Force fighters have been modified to carry U.S.-supplied GBU-39 SDB precision guided glide bombs. Okay, so now it's kind of an even contest. So you have to think about every technology can be used by both sides, but some have an advantage. And I was thinking about this morning. I was driving to Dunkin' Donuts and I was going to get the coffee and donut, and I was thinking, it's like drones. Both sides can use drones, but the Ukrainians, although they have a disadvantage numerically in a number of drones, their advantage is that Russians have an advantage in tanks and armored personnel and things along those lines. And drones can knock those out and reduce Russia's advantage over here with these drones. Now, Russia can do that to Ukraine, but it doesn't have the same effect in the advantage. And I was trying to think of analogies, because this is kind of how I spend my time. I'm driving to Dunkin' Donuts thinking about what analogy I can explain to drive home a point. So I spent the last 20 plus years teaching in a particular discipline. I have a significant advantage over somebody who hasn't. And so if we're going to argue about something in my field, everything that I have learned is accessible to them as well. But the learning curve for them is going to be very steep. It's going to be hard for them to be able to catch up. In the same way, I don't tend to do the battle maps because I'm not a military guy. My military experience was limited to 2 years in Army ROTC before President Clinton killed my ROTC program with the peace dividend and said, "Thank you for coming. You can transfer to another school." And I was almost done with college. So I don't try to compete at that level or try to, insert myself and say, well, I'm a military expert. No, I could learn things, but I'm not going to keep up with somebody who has military experience. Same thing. Another analogy, I've been into martial arts for on and off for 30 years. Everything that I learned is accessible to anybody else. But if you started from scratch right now, you would have a hard time keeping up with me. Same kind of thing here. So we have to look at what military technology is going to do, or how it's going to be give one side an advantage over another. And so the drone technology has been very useful for the Ukrainians to wither away the tank advantage. Glide bombs have been useful for Russia because the Ukrainians haven't had it until now, and now they have it. And now that they have it, it's going to change some of the battlefield dynamics, particularly if you're Russian soldiers in and around Belgorod. It's going to go very badly for you, I think. Okay, this is what it looks like. And some impressive, most impressive indeed. And so, yeah, that's where we are with that. Okay, serviceman from the 110th Mechanized Brigade claims that another Russian Su-25 has been shot down. Let's hope for some visual confirmations. I like the way that they said that because they didn't say, yes, this is definite. We want to have visual confirmations. This was echoed by others as well. Okay, Zelensky thanks the United States for an aid package to Ukraine. There was another aid package that just came out, $275 million, and it's 155 millimeter rounds and mortar rounds and javelins and all kinds of small arms, anti-armored armored mines and things along these lines. So again, everything just keeps flowing toward them, and it's unfortunate that they had this 7-8 month gap, and that was terrible, but things seem to be back on track and hopefully will stay on track. Okay, back in the United States, well, let me go back. In Europe, it looks like Russia has been spying, trying to engage in some kind of terrorist activities in Germany and other places. Well, this just happened in the United States yesterday or the day before. Army Special Forces colonel killed a Russian spy taking photos on his property outside Fort Liberty. Fort Liberty is what was Fort Bragg. It's the home of the, I think, 1st Special Forces Group, home of the 82nd Airborne. It's a very important base in North Carolina. And we had another incident just outside Quantico in Virginia. That's the Marine base. And it looks like there was some kind of Russian spy ring that may have been involved in that. This is Fox News reporting on this, on a Russian spy ring that uses Russia-linked companies, utilities, one out of New Jersey as a cover in order to do this. So we'll keep an eye on what's going on there. Okay. I told you, Andrew Perpetua, who does all the work on identifying things, he said this, and I couldn't help but laugh. I feel it. There's a sweet mercy that Telegram limits you to 1,000 channels, but then you make 2 Telegram and Telegram 3, or Telegram 2 and Telegram 3, and keep following until you catch them all into a little pile. Oh, that hurts my head just thinking about it. This guy does amazing work. Okay, let me shift gears and talk about something else. About a month ago, I created a Patreon account, and I said, look, I don't know what's going to happen on YouTube because all these weird things with people getting suspended and that sort of thing. And so I created a Patreon. I said, come over here, please join for free. Almost 2,000 of you have. And if you haven't, please join for free because this is my backup plan in case something goes wrong on YouTube. And then I also, at the same time, created membership tiers, not thinking much of it, thinking, okay, if anybody wants to kick in a little bit to support because this is a lot of work, I appreciate it. And so I did create these tiers. And to my surprise, a number of you really stood up to support me, and I greatly appreciate it. And then some of you were saying to me in conversations, hey, can you do this on Buy Me a Coffee? I don't like Patreon. I don't use this, or I don't use Buy Me a Coffee. Can you do YouTube memberships? Well, I just created YouTube memberships. They almost exactly mirror what it is on Patreon. So if you're on Patreon, don't try to do the other one as well. And if you don't have any money, that's fine. I'm not trying to bilk you out of money. Join on here for free. So if anything goes wrong, but if you join on the YouTube membership in order to support me, that's just an easier way. I greatly appreciate that. I'm not trying to sell you anything, but if you join and on Patreon or as a member and say, look, preface your comments with undergrad or grad student or colleague, you put that grad student, and then your question or comment, I'll prioritize you as I go through this. I can't answer all questions. I try to do my best to read as much as I can, but I will try to prioritize you because you've prioritized me, and I greatly appreciate that. Part of this is I also created a Discord channel, and in the Discord channel, that's where we can have some deeper conversations. I've created some videos specifically just for my patrons that here I will make available to both members and patrons. And so yeah, so that's the story there. So if you're willing to do that, thank you in advance. I really appreciate the support. It's very encouraging. Okay, last little bit. Oh yeah, here, you'll see a join button here now if that's what you want to do at the below the video or below all videos, and that's how you join the channel memberships. This is all new to me. I'm just learning the tech as well. Last little bit, Ukraine, this is from the Russian embassy in Belgium. It's a parody site. We were just talking about 500,000 Russians off the battlefield today. Well, Ukraine has lost up to 330,000 troops, 3 aircraft carriers, 164 F-16s over the past 24 hours, according to the Russian Ministry of Defense. Okay, my friends, thank you for the time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes. I would say thank you to my patrons, but thank you to my patrons or members or anybody who has supported in any way. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.